Thank you for coming. This project is titled Kernel Methods for Policy Evaluation, Treatment Effects, Mediation Analysis, and Off-Policy Planning. It's joint work with Liyuan and Arthur of the UCL Gatsby unit. The motivation for this project is policy evaluation. So let's consider asking, what's the treatment effect of job training on employment? And suppose we have a data set where for each individual we observe how much job training they did, what their subsequent employment was, as well as observables like their age, gender, ethnicity, and education. As a first pass, we could measure the average effect of job training. That is, we could reduce job training to a binary variable and then estimate the average for the full population. For policymakers, nuanced counterfactuals are also very important. Questions like, does the effect vary by the amount of job training? And does the effect vary by the age of the trainee? The former is a continuous treatment effect, and the latter is a heterogeneous treatment effect. Indeed, these are non-parametric quantities. Let's focus on a real-world example. The US Job Corps was a job training program for disadvantaged youth in the 90s, and our data set is exactly as I previewed. We observe an outcome between 0 and 1, that's the fraction of weeks employed subsequent to the job training. A treatment between 0 and 2,000 is the number of class hours that a given individual pursued. And covariates, we have forwarded them, including age, gender, ethnicity, etc. Following the literature, we'll focus on the sample who found employment and participated in at least 1 week of training, so about 3,000 individuals. Now, let's focus on our first counterfactual question. Does the effect vary by the amount of job training? And the answer is a yes. On the horizontal axis, we have class hours, and on the vertical axis, we see the counterfactual level of employment. To summarize what we see in this plot, there's a plateau at about 12.5 weeks of training and a maximum at 30 weeks of training. The first 12.5 weeks confer the greatest gain in employment. And the estimate we have here has the same shape, but is smoother than existing work. Let's now turn to our second counterfactual. Does the effect vary by the age of the trainee? And again, the answer is a yes. On the horizontal axis, we have class hours. On the vertical axis, we have age. We visualize level curves, which represent the counterfactual level of employment for a given class hour and age pair. To summarize what we see here, there's a small effect for the youngest participants, a large effect for older participants, and this estimate has not been previously presented because this quantity has not been previously estimable. Our policy recommendation is therefore 12 to 14 weeks of classes, targeting individuals who are 21 to 23 years old. These were the ages of the older participants. Now, the two counterfactual questions we focused on live within a broader family of counterfactual questions. Questions like, if we intervened on treatment, what would be the outcome? That's the continuous treatment effect. Do different subpopulations experience different effects? That's the heterogeneous treatment effect. For the subpopulation who received one treatment, what would have been their outcome if they received another? That's treatment on the treated. Is the effect learned in one population valid in another population? That's a distribution shift question. More creatively, we could ask, how much of the total effect is mediated by a particular mechanism? That's mediation analysis. And finally, can we infer the effect of a sequence of treatments? That's off-policy planning. Now, the main idea of this paper is to present a unified framework for estimation and analysis across all of these counterfactuals. Conceptually, we unify these various counterfactuals into one general learning problem. Algorithmically, we impose the additional structure of the RKHS and arrive at one-line algorithms. Statistically, we prove uniform consistency with finite sample rates. And empirically, we conduct a policy evaluation of the US Job Corps training program.